Hi Aries, welcome to your September 2024 horoscope. Let's get right into it because September has a lot to offer. We start off the month on September 2nd with Uranus going retrograde. Uranus will be retrograde until January 2025. And what's really special about September 2nd is that on that same day, Pluto is entering back into Capricorn. So if you've been keeping up with the astrology in the last couple of months, you would have known that Pluto has been going retrograde, moving backwards for a while now. And it's officially on September 2nd that it will move back from the early degrees of Aquarius into the last couple degrees of Capricorn. And this will be the final time that Pluto will be in the sign of Capricorn for a very, 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 very long time, because Pluto takes about 20 years to go through each sign. So Aries, let's talk about these two planets and what sort of vibe they're going to be setting for you specifically in the month of September. Uranus is going retrograde in your second house of finances, your second house of self-worth and self-esteem. So this means that for the next couple of months until January 2025, you might be reflecting, you might be going inwards, analyzing how you have been dealing with your finances, how you have been able to establish your own unique way of having financial stability, and how you have been able to establish your unique self-worth and love for yourself as well. So you might not have a lot of external events happening during the retrograde period, but it might be more of a reflective period where you're analyzing and thinking about what Uranus has been doing in your second house for the last little while. And then Pluto retrograding back into Capricorn, that means that Pluto will be entering back into your 10th house. So with Pluto returning back into your 10th house, you're going to be analyzing again, reflecting internally again as to what sort of power you have been able to find in your career space, what sort of power you have been able to find when it comes to the image that you convey to the outside world. Have you faced your fears when it comes to the perception that others have of you? How has that been for you with Pluto in your 10th house for the last 20 years? So these two topics, your finances and your career, Aries, these will be probably top of mind, especially in September. The next day, on September 3rd, there is a new moon in Virgo in your 6th house. This means that you might be starting a new type of routine, maybe a new workout schedule, or even a new diet. During this new moon, Mars in your 3rd house is squaring Neptune in your 12th house. So while you are trying to get this new routine set up, you might be trying to be courageous by perhaps telling people about it, communicating with excitement about this new adventure that you're starting. Maybe you're trying to get your siblings or your neighbors involved in it, trying to, get them to go for a run with you in the mornings. However, there is this friction between the courageous way you're acting, all of the things that you're communicating, and this new routine that you're starting. And at the same time, there's this friction with this internal part of you, this part of you that feels like perhaps that none of that matters, this part of you that realizes that in a way our physical bodies are just one single manifestation of us, and there are so many other important things about being a human and how we show up in this world. So you might feel a bit conflicted between those two. Because obviously, when we start a new adventure, when we want to take care of our bodies, that will take time and energy, and it might take that away from other things like perhaps taking care of your mental health or your sleep or being good at your job or showing up well in your relationships. So there might be a bit of that struggle here because of that square between Mars and Neptune. And one final thing I'll mention about this new moon, and then we'll get on to the next aspect in September. During this new moon, we have Venus conjunct the South Node, and for you Aries, this is happening in your 7th house. So while you're trying to start a new routine, there might be a partner, it could be romantic or like a business partner or a friend, somebody quite close to you that might be, I don't want to say encouraging you, but because there's this sort of comfort and this sort of habit that's formed together, might be pulling you back into your old tendencies. It might be pulling you back into your old ways of being, where maybe you would sleep in instead of get up for that morning run. So you might have some of that, a partner that's maybe holding you back a little bit. It doesn't have to come from bad intentions. It's just more, it's what is comfortable. So there might be a tendency to just fall back into those habits. On September 5th, Mars will enter the sign of Cancer, or your 4th house for you, Aries. So you might find that your drive and your motivation during the month of September is a lot more oriented towards your home. That could mean that you're literally spending more time at home instead of out with others. It might mean that you're spending more time with your family, and just in general, feeling a lot more driven and motivated in that area of your life versus, for example, feeling driven and motivated in your career or with your romantic partnership, for example. So if there's anything that you've wanted to get done or something courageous you wanted to do, maybe you've wanted to renovate or decorate your house or have a conversation with your family, then September is a really good time to do so with Mars in your 4th house. On September 8th, the Sun in your 6th house is going to oppose Saturn. So this opposition is sort of happening during that new moon, but it's not quite exact. It takes a couple of days until the 8th of September, while the moon has moved away for the Sun to actually oppose Saturn. So the Sun is in your 6th house while Saturn is in your 12th house. And again, we see this pull between routine, between taking care of your body, taking care of your health, and this other part of you that wants to say, well, none of it matters. Our physical realities, our physical conditions, our, whether we're the fittest or the strongest or whether we look good, like in the grand scheme of life, that doesn't matter. And on this day, on September 8th, you might especially feel that tug between the two. You might feel like perhaps your ego, we are talking about the Sun in your 6th house, that your ego wants this new routine, wants this new workout or diet to work out, because there's this part of, the ego being involved, that you perhaps want to receive recognition or you want to be complimented on the work that you're doing. And then this other part of you that wants to focus more internally on your internal world, taking care of what's happening within, perhaps on your mental health rather than on your physical and bodily health. The Sun keeps moving along in your 6th house, and a couple of days later, on September 12th, it squares Jupiter in your 3rd house. So again, not the best energies for moving forward with your routine, with your new workout, with your new diet. Because of that square with Jupiter, it might be that some of the things that you have been communicating with your neighbors, you might have been quite loud and proud about your new workout routine and your new diet, is sort of coming to friction with you trying to actually put that new workout or diet in place. It could happen that you are overdoing one over the other, that you are perhaps so focused on communicating it and that praise that you get from others, feeding your ego and actually losing the essence of what it is that you wanted to start this program in the first place. So remember earlier we said that Mars has now officially entered your 4th house. On the 16th of September, while Mars is in your 4th house, it ends up squaring the North and the South Node. You are probably aware of this already, but the North and the South Node are in your 1st and your 7th house. So you might have especially been going through this nodal transit for the last year. You are one of the few signs that might have been feeling it especially strong. And remember, when we chatted just a couple of minutes ago about Mars entering your 4th house, we talked about you turning your attention towards your family and your home. And then later in the month on the 16th, because of that Mars and the nodes square, you might find that whatever you're doing around your home is going to test out how well you've been learning the nodal lessons for the last year. It's going to test out whether you have really been understanding this intricacy of being your own individual, being able to stand on your own instead of depending on others, being able to form your own opinions, being able to be a leader instead of a part of a group, for example. So there might be something happening in your home, perhaps with a renovation, perhaps with your family saying something, asking something from you, that might require for you to set those boundaries. And you might find that what you have been learning for the last year is going to come up, and Mars is going to ask, let's see how well you're doing with this lesson. And then September 18th rolls around and we enter eclipse season. Yes, so in September we have an eclipse, and in October we have an eclipse. And these are the 2 final eclipses of 2024. For you, especially Aries, the eclipses for the last year and a half, or for the last year, you have probably been feeling very strongly because they are happening in your 1st and 7th house. Very important places for you. So on the 18th of September, like I said, there's a full moon in Pisces, or you can also call it a partial lunar eclipse. So the moon will be in your 12th house, the sun will be in your 6th house, and you might be seeing a pattern for you in September, Aries. We have that 6th and 12th house axis repeated over and over again. And this eclipse is no different, because you have the moon in your 12th house and you have Neptune there as well. There might be a lot of this dreamy energy, this energy of wanting to escape, this energy of wanting to move away from the tangible realities of having a routine, of needing to take care of our bodies, of needing to watch what we eat and make sure we nourish ourselves, more towards this abstract place, a place where you dream, a place where you imagine, a place where you detach yourself from the realities, the problems. And a lot of the times when we talk about the 12th house, we get into addictions as well. And that doesn't mean that you're about to get into an addiction during this eclipse, but that you might fall into tendencies or addictive practices that help you pull away from the reality, help you pull away from some of the hard things that can sometimes be happening in our day-to-day life. For you, that could be watching your favorite TV show. It could be binging on food. It could be, looking at your bank account. Whatever it is for you, Aries, this sort of practice that helps give you that space from sometimes the heavy energy of day-to-day life. And honestly, I wouldn't fight it too much. We have Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto all retrograde during this lunar eclipse. And you do have a fully illuminated moon in your 12th house, which means there might be some really potent information, some new knowledge bubbling up when you go dreaming, when you check out from the real world and you're doing whatever it is you're doing, that there's a new realization coming to you. And honestly, it can be about anything. It can be about the meaning of life. It can be about the type of lifestyle that you want for yourself. It can be about your relationships. So I would honestly encourage you to allow yourself that time and space, to allow yourself time to journal or to reflect, time to meditate, time to maybe just be in silence, go to nature and sit in silence, to really notice what is coming up during this time. And you might continue feeling the effects of this eclipse up until the 21st of September. This is because the opposition with the Sun and Neptune, it's quite close during the lunar eclipse, but it doesn't become exact until the 21st. So you might continue to feel this reflective, this more introspective energy way past the lunar eclipse as well. A day later, on September 22nd, we have Pluto coming into the conversation again. The Sun ends up trining Pluto and Venus is squaring Pluto. And remember, when we talked about the beginning of September, September 2nd, Pluto has officially come back into your 10th house. So now the Sun and Venus are, these are the first aspects that Pluto is making with its return into your house of career and public image. So with Venus in your 7th house and the Sun in your 6th house, we see again this repetition of your daily routine and this repetition of your relationships that are coming into the mix with your courageousness and your you stepping into your power when it comes to your career. So it might be that your partner is challenging that. Perhaps your partner is asking for a lot of time and attention that perhaps pulls you away from you truly expressing your power and full energy in your career. The Sun aspect is a trine, so it's a little bit more supportive. So you might find that while your partner is maybe causing some friction with how you show up in your career, you might find that your routine, the way you're taking care of your body, is helping you get that energy back, is helping you express that vitality and power in your career and in your public persona. We're almost there, just 2 more transits to talk about in regards to September. On September 29th, the Sun will conjunct the South Node in your 7th house. Because this is in your house of partnerships, you might find that especially whatever's been going on with your partner during September might especially be front and center on this day, September 29th. And because the South Node is involved, we are really talking about these old habits that you might have with your partner. It could be old habits of you always accommodating, you always meeting the other person halfway and maybe even more than halfway, and they're not doing their share to meet you halfway. So be very, very mindful, not just on the 29th, but all of September. What are the old habits that you're falling into when it comes to your relationships? And how can you do your best to change that and to do something different, even though it might feel very strange and very uncomfortable? We close off the month on a positive note. On September 30th, Mars in your 4th house will trine Saturn in your 12th house. So we had a couple of more rocky transits with Mars in your 4th house. Remember, we talked about perhaps your family, your home situation, bringing a bit of a challenge during the month of September. But now, because Mars is trining Saturn in your 12th house, you might especially feel like this energy and this work that you've been putting into your home, into your familial relationship, is having a positive impact on your mental health. It's having a positive impact on your internal world as well, which is, I think, a really wonderful way to close off the month. So overall, Aries, if you have been paying attention during this horoscope, you have probably heard like maybe 3 main themes that have come up over and over and over again, right? We talked about your body, your physical health, your routine being front and center during this month. And at the same time, having this need to also pay attention to your mental health, to also give yourself time and space to take care of your internal world. And at the same time, 2 more themes. We talked about your relationships, your partner, perhaps pulling you into some of these habits that you've had for years, but that you know you don't want to repeat anymore. And then also we talked about your family and your home needing some of your attention and love and care as well. So overall, Aries, a really nice mix for you, I think, for the month of September. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for joining me for this horoscope. And thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. The winner of the giveaway for 1,000 subscribers is Rosie Roses 85. So please do reach out to me. I posted on the community tab how you can reach out to me to go ahead and claim your free reading. Thank you all for subscribing. I'm so happy to see our community continue to grow. And yeah, I hope to see you again soon.